What's up, guys, and welcome back to Time Vision Talks. My name is Mustafa, and today I'm joined with
Maz, Yunus.
And today we're going to talk about a very special topic that just happened recently, and you probably heard of it, seen it trending World War III, but this is the death of this man named Qasem Soleimani. So I'm just going to break down a little timeline for you guys, and then we'll open it up to talk about some opinions. So Iran and US have had a rocky relationship ever since 1979 during the Iranian Revolution, where the US and British military intelligence decided to form a coup to get the secular, democratically elected president Mohammad Mossadegh out of his presidency, basically.
Out of his power.
And then 2 weeks later, the Islamic religious leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei came into power. And that's a very important thing that happened. The secular, democratically elected leader went out, and the Islamic religious leader that is chosen by a small group of people came into power. Shortly, a couple of decades after, in 2002, there was nuclear fears of Iran, saying that they had weapons of mass destruction and offensive weaponry. And so there were sanctions placed by the US, the UN, and the EU, sanctions placed on Iran that led to their currency losing 2/3 of their value, and which kind of destroyed the infrastructure of that country and many other things. But later on, when the report finally finished, there was no weapons of mass destruction found, and so the sanctions were placed unjustly. So the guy who we're talking about right now, Qasem Soleimani, he was the Brigadier General of the Quds Force, which is an elite unit in the Iranian Revolutionary Guards Corps. So he joined this military shortly after the Revolutionary War in the 1980s, and he worked his way up the ranks. And right now, at the position he was in prior to his death, he was second only to the Ayatollah, second in power only to the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, which is a lot to say for this man who didn't have a lot of education or formal knowledge. He just grew up working as a trade and just was weightlifting and joined the military. So while in power, he supported the Hezbollah, which is a political party and militant group based in Lebanon. He expanded military presence in Iraq and Syria, and he orchestrated the Syrian offensive war against the rebel groups, which has happened a couple years ago, which is the reason why Bashar al-Assad is still in power right now. Some of the nicknames that he had was the Shadow Commander, because for the majority of his career, this general would be in the shadows and work, doing reconnaissance work and military work, which did not have his presence or his name labeled on it. He came into the light recently, and since then he's become a pop star among the Iranian people and the Iranian military force. There's been many documentaries made about him, pop songs made about him, and there's always selfies being taken of him by his military men, if you can believe that.
Basically, he was like a celebrity. He was like a hero to them for all the things that he did for the country or the Middle East.
So now we're in the present moment where Trump has just recently assassinated this man with a drone strike. And after Trump spoke on it and said that this assassination was to prevent war, that there was US intelligence that Soleimani would recently be attacking US embassies and US militiamen. Some of these backings to claim the US intelligence is that there are tensions and protests in Iraq right now due to Iranian military presence. And so it is said that Soleimani was having a meeting near a US embassy in Iraq, talking to his powerful militias, including Abu Mahdi al-Muhandis.
Engineer.
He was also assassinated with Soleimani at the airstrike. he was at this meeting with a bunch of other militiamen, and Soleimani was telling these people to increase attacks against the US. So after this assassination, about 3,000 troops have headed into the Middle East. This is after talks about, from years and years about getting troops out of the Middle East. And the very next day of the assassination, there was reports of an airstrike which attacked pro-Iran groups of soldiers north of Baghdad, which the US have denied doing. Since then, the Ayatollah says this is a declaration of war and vows vengeance against the US, and says that the time and place will be chosen by Iran.
That's scary.
So, with all this being said, there are some different opinions among the people and among the administrative forces. One such, Philip Gordon, the White House coordinator for the Middle East and the Persian Gulf in the Obama administration, he describes the killing as a little short of a declaration of war.
The current killing or before?
This killing right now against Soleimani.
It is. It's essentially a declaration of war, because the whole act of killing, or as they deemed, is like a terror threat. They killed him without like proper and just like research or backing or anything, and they just killed him. It's basically, it's illegal. It's a war crime.
Speaking on that, Agnes Callamard, who is the UN Special Rapporteur of extrajudicial executions, went to Twitter and said that this targeted killing of Qasem Soleimani and Abu Mahdi are most likely unlawful and violate international human rights.
It is. It's an assassination. It's a political assassination.
Saying that drone strikes for targeted killing are almost never legal, and it is only legal if there is imminent danger or if there's an imminent threat, and saying that past terrorist accusations do not count. Moving on, Hamid Gajara, who is part of the Iranian Democratic Association, believes the only imminent collapse is the Iranians' clerical rule. Going back to the Ayatollah, we were talking about who is the religious leader who is chosen by a select few, and Qasem Soleimani being second to the Ayatollah. This man Hamid believes that this is the imminent collapse of Iran's clerical rule, and he wishes the secular rule to come back. He believes this is a catalyst for people to stand up to the Revolutionary Guard members, and would like to see Canada strongly oppose the Iranian regime. However, another individual, Poyan Tazbinejad, who is the vice president of the Iranian Canadian Congress, finds this UN intervention troubling, saying that nobody wants war and that the victims of war are always the citizens and individuals on the floor who are living in the houses who are being affected.
It's true.
It's always like that. Every time there's a war, like the Middle Eastern war, like the Iraq war, the Afghanistan war, it was not the countries or like the governments that got hurt most. It was the people, the innocent people that are. Every time there's a war, it's the people that suffer, not the countries.
There's loss on both sides.
It's more loss on the Middle East.
There's no winner.
Always, because it's always unjust.
And this man,
it's unlawful.
And this man Poyan Tazbinejad, he wants Canada to condemn Trump, as opposed to Hamid Gajra, who wants Canada to strongly oppose the Iranian regime.
Canada won't do anything.
So even among the Iranian community in Iran and the Iranian community abroad in Canada and in the US, there is differing opinions on what is happening. A lot of people support Qasem Soleimani and a lot of people oppose Qasem Soleimani. And a lot of this division is founded based on the clerical and religious rule of Iran.
Yeah.
That prior to the 80s, that Iran was a very secular and open country, and after the war, it has been very religiously concentrated, which some people say negatively affect the country.
If you look at the wars before, before the U.S. deemed like Iran, Afghanistan, like all these countries before U.S. intervention, all these countries were peaceful. They had amazing infrastructure. They had universities. They had schools, they had hospitals, all this infrastructure, all their communities, everything was really strong. They were one of the world powers. If you look back in history, Iran, Pakistan, like all these countries in the Middle East or Southeast.
When the European countries were in the dark
When
ages.
exactly, when these countries were the world leaders, they were forward in many ways. Their currency had power. Like people used to have the currency, like Iranian currency, Pakistani currency,
they had
like
the
Saudi.
resources such
yeah,
as oil.
resources, oil. In November, it was just recently. In November, Iran found like a 15 billion, something like that, worth of barrels of oil in November. And now that U.S. wants to go in there and kind of, invade or like start a war with them. That's the same thing that happened in Iraq, same thing in Afghanistan. These countries are rich with resources, same with like South American countries. All these countries with rich in resources, U.S. deems them or deems their government as a threat.
So speaking on what you said on why Trump is taking action now, there's been a lot of actions and a lot of back and forth going on over the past couple of months. But you said something interesting on why Trump may be taking action right now.
Yeah, a lot of people speculating that Trump, I mean, it's 2020, so his presidency is about like there's going to be another presidency going on at the end of this year. So a lot of people speculating that because he struck this attack, because if the country's at war, you can't impeach the president.
yeah,
Right?
that's a lot. Yeah.
So as you guys know, the impeachment of Trump is in process. And even if we don't go to war, this is still prolonging that process.
He's delaying it,
Yeah.
essentially.
And
That's
before
what
we get
Bill
there,
Clinton did.
like you guys saw Twitter, how Twitter was trending with World War III tweets and people making memes
Yeah.
Which is
about World War
ridiculous.
III. It was funny. It was funny. I was up all night looking at
And
those memes.
it may just be a meme, but it may not be that far-fetched given our prior histories of World War.
yeah.
World War I was caused by the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand.
Just one person.
One person.
Just one person
got killed.
of high importance,
Yeah.
who arguably this man is Qasem Soleimani.
You're right.
He was one of the most important leaders within the Middle East in terms of the things that he did. It was not important. He was a very influential figure.
Next to Ayatollah,
And
he's
he
the guy.
was he was in the Times Magazine most influential men
There you
in
go.
one of the years in the past decade.
Exactly. So if you kill a very influential man in a region that's very unstable due to the West interference, it could start a World War III. It's not that far-fetched, as you mentioned,
think it's
because
possible
it's very possible because U.S. has been trying to get into the Middle East for years. They want to get in there. I mean, they're already there, but they want
So
to.
here's what's happening with
I'm not ready for a World War III. That's all I'm saying.
So here's what's happening with the worldly declarations as the news is coming in right now. Russia, who is allies with Iran, are condemning Trump. Israel, who are allies with US, are backing Trump.
Of course.
And China, who are allies with Iran, are trying to keep everyone calm and cool and trying to make everyone not take rash decisions. So they're trying to keep it neutral in the middle right now.
That's the thing. See, a lot of figures are in play, and one wrong move could cause World War III because everyone has their own agenda. U.S. has their own agenda to steal the resources of the country, and it's U.S. has done it before. U.S. always does it. Every time they have something they want, they deem the government of that nation unstable, or the government or the person, or to be an imminent threat, which he was not.
What does eminent mean? Eminent means like
Immediate, like they have reason to believe like there could be an airstrike within weeks or days.
Yeah, basically,
Because I feel like they like throwing out.
Oh, they're in the business of spreading fear. U.S. is a fear-spreading nation.
basically like for example, if they knew that an airstrike was coming on the way today, that is imminent.
Inevitable. Like it's coming.
Yeah. But what was happening now, where they pre-executed this man based on plans that they assumed that he was having, that is basically an execution for a thought crime.
Has Iran said anything yet?
Well, they said they're going to take action.
Ayatollah says this is a declaration of war and vows vengeance. But more specifically, in detail, he says that the plan is already in motion and
Hectic.
that the killing of this man.
Hectic.
I'll bring up the quote right now. How has Iran reacted? In a statement following Soleimani's death, Supreme Leader Ayatollah Al-Khamenei said his departure to God does not end his path or his mission, but a forceful revenge awaits the criminal who have his blood and the blood of other martyrs last night on their hands.
Yo, he's not joking. He's not.
obviously, if you unlawfully kill someone in a foreign nation, you expect to retaliate. You can't just kill someone unlawfully, illegally, which is a war crime, and expect them to follow along and be like, okay, we're scared of the US. They're not gonna do that.
Even on the US side, they expect a retaliation. How big of a retaliation, they're not sure.
Like they rolled out tanks in Houston. They put extra.
Yeah, they're gonna guard all the major cities because
They moved in 3,000
troops in the Middle East. Although there were talks of pulling all the troops out of the Middle East. But again, war is profitable.
If there is a World War III, what the heck are we gonna do? Where do we hide?
So
They
that
don't hide.
I'm not trying to get drafted, man.
I got flat feet and I have vision problems, so I'm only 5'5".
I'm short.
I can't get drafted. but this is the importance of this man that may cause a very big war. This man was a general who was not always fighting from his office. He was there on the floor. He was there on the ground whenever there was a war in place.
Think about it. If this is the last video we can make, bro, this could be it for Time Vision. Like if there's a war,
They call this man.
might be the last video for our channel, man.
So, this is what we know as of today. This is what we have discussed based on our opinions and our knowledge.
You gotta see that quote still. That quote, what was the one you're saying?
The scary one?
Yeah, it's scary.
Oh man.
Some detrimental quote.
Oof, I'm not ready to say it.
You did?
Yeah, the one there's gonna be expected harsh backlash.
The time and place.
He said,
Oh,
he said, definitely there will be revenge. There will be harsh revenge. The time, the place will be decided by Iran.
Some scary-ish.
that is scary. That's a declaration of war.
That's what it is. What do you guys think in the comments below? Is this gonna be the catalyst for a next big war? Is this gonna be some US Iran or US Middle East conflict that we've seen for the comings of years? Is this something that we're gonna forget about tomorrow? Let us know in the comments below. Remember to like if you like the video, share with people. We would like everyone's opinions on this, whether you're a Muslim, whether you're not, whether you're Iranian, whether you're from across the world, whether you're 10 years old, whether you're 50 years old.
Could be the last comment you write, so just write it.
This is involving everybody who's alive today. So let us know what you think. I've been Mustafa Malla. I've been joined with
Yunus.
Maz.
Thank you for tuning into the Time Vision Talks. We'll see you next time.